Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my collective salutations at the divine lotus feet of our Master Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai. Revered elders, respected teachers, and all my dear brothers and sisters, Sai Ram, and very good afternoon to one and all. Let us begin the session with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryankaravavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. It is said that a grateful heart is a magnet for divine interventions. This afternoon, our great hearts are overwhelmed to welcome our revered speaker, Dr.R. Vaidyanathan, the retired professor of finance at IIM Bangalore. We, the students and staffs from Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, are privileged to welcome you, sir. Sri Sathya Sai University was a brainchild of Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, who is spearheading this global mission of providing nutrition, education, health at no cost, considering the whole world as one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Sadguru aims to serve the unserved, reach the unreached through various initiatives. I would like to take this moment to introduce our revered speaker to all of you. Dr. R. Vaidyanathan, sir, finished his graduation from Loyola College, Madras, and with a master's degree from the Institute of Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta. He obtained a doctorate from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, where he also taught for 4 years. He was a visiting faculty at the various universities, United States and United Kingdoms. He is a consultant to many organizations and is on the board of many corporate firms. Sir Professor Vaidyanathan was conferred the Lifetime Contribution Award by the Asia Pacific Risk and Insurance Association. His book, 2013, India Unique, focuses on the role of non-corporate sectors in India and was well known by policymakers. He was a member of a National Security Advisory Board and the National Security Council. His recent work, Caste as a Social Capital, published in 2019, examines the workings of caste through the lens of businesses, economics, and entrepreneurship. It interrogates the role caste plays in economic sphere in the terms of facilitating the nuts and bolts of the business and entrepreneurship, finance, markets, and workforce. Currently, Dr. Vaidyanathan sir is an adjunct professor of AURO University at Surat and so S. Ramaswamy Chair Professor in the Public Policy at Shastra University. Today, Professor will address all of us on the topic Global Economic Crisis and Implications for India and its Civilization. Now, I request Dr. Vaidyanathan sir to take over.
Thank you, Deepika. At the outset, I would like to thank Sathya Sai University authorities and Mohanji, Bhupal Chidambar, and Deepika, who all were encouraging me to participate today in our discussion. I would also like to thank all the 3 campus students for their being in the audience and participation. Thank you all very much and my full gratitude to you. Om Sai Ram. Now, we will today plan to cover the global economic crisis and what are the cultural and civilizational implications for our country. This will be the main theme of our talk, and so we would like to focus on that. Global economic crisis it is called, but it is essentially not the global crisis, it's the crisis of the G7 countries, what we can loosely call the white countries of Europe, US. G7, most of you would have heard about it. Group of 7, US, Canada, UK, Germany, France. So all these are 7 countries, Australia, G7 they are called. And they were the leading nations, industrialized nation. They are also called the Western countries or developed countries. and they were having something like more than half of the world income in the year 1990. If you look back 1990, most of you might not have been born, or some of you might have been in school during that time. The global income or global GDP, it is called the gross domestic product. 50% were belonging to these seven countries in 1990. You can see the first slide available. Not this, next one. Yeah. And if you see what are called the emerging and developing countries, major emerging countries are India, China, Brazil, and Indonesia in terms of size. These four countries are called the major emerging countries. They had something like 35% of the share of world GDP or gross domestic product, or what is popularly we can call it as the world income. And if you come to 2017, 15, 16, before the COVID thing, the share of the seven countries has come down to 36%, while a share of these emerging countries has gone to 52%. India and China are the leading members of this emerging, and other smaller countries are also there. So this is the picture, and the decline is what is called mathematically monotonically declining. It's coming down. It's not sometime coming down, sometime going up another. So similarly, the increase is also similar. Last year, the number for the G7 countries was 30%. And for the others, it is 60%, emerging market countries. And that 30% is expected to become 25%. So that is what is called the global economic crisis. Our finance minister Jaishankar once nicely told the crisis of European countries is made to be the global crisis, world crisis. That is how it is. Even the World War, First World War, Second World War, if you go back in history, they were primarily European wars, but they were made into world wars, and India also participated in that and other. So this is what is the. So let us be very clear. This economic crisis is that of the what you may loosely call the Anglo-Saxon countries. We have written on top world GDP. GDP is income, I told you, gross domestic product, based on PPP. That PPP abbreviation is purchasing power parity. Now, different countries have different type of income. How to compare them? Different type of interest rate, different type of inflation. And for instance, my niece is working in California. She is earning 50,000 US dollar. I am earning in India 50,000 rupees. These two are 50,000, but not easily comparable. You can't just say that, my niece at California and myself are on the same level, even though both are, because in my case, for instance, I can hire a maid in India for something like 5,000 to 6,000 rupees to clean my home, do the vessels, and dry the clothes and other. That is per month. I can hire somebody for 5,000 to 6,000 depending upon the city where you live and other. In her case, in California, if she has to hire a person, per hour, she has to pay $60 to $70 US dollar for doing the same work per hour. Now, roughly 80 rupees is 1 US dollar. So you can understand, if it is 50 US dollar, it comes to 4,000 rupees per hour, 1 hour. So what I pay in 1 month, she has to pay in 1 hour. So even though both of us are earning 50,000, it's not same. That's what I want to stress. It's a different type of purchasing power we have got. So my purchasing power for services like these servant maid and other thing is much, much better than our purchasing power. So what this World Bank and International Monetary Fund they do is they adjust the income for purchasing power in order to make it comparable. So the two countries' income is adjusted. We will not go into the technical detail how they adjust another thing. There is an indicator made. On that basis, comparisons can be made. And that is the reason we are using this purchasing power parity based the now global income. So this is what is the. So first and foremost we want to stress is it is not a global crisis. It is a crisis of those white countries or what are called the developed countries. And their share is expected, as I told you, by 2025 to become 20 to 25%. The so-called developed countries will slowly become developing country. This is what. And countries like India and China, they are called not emerging market, but re-emerging market. Very important to note. In other words, it is told countries like India and China were at a great rate of share of till 1828. So, he is picking me up. Very sorry. There was some phone disturbance. So, India and China are considered as re-emerging countries. The countries which were dominant. There is a study by one of the world great economists, Angus Madison. He did a study for European Commission and also he did a study for this, what is that called? Oxford School of Economics. He did a study with some 40-50 people. He estimated the world income from period zero, that is the birth of Christ. Every century he estimated. And he told till 1828, till middle of 19th century, India and China were having more than 50% of the global income. Let me repeat it. A study found out that India and China had more than 50% of the global income till 1850. After that, the colonialism started. After that, the industrial revolution started, and the Western countries began to use the gunpowder in a very uh, different way than making crackers and other things. So they began to dominate. And then they colonized a lot of countries. So that is why these economists they say India and China are re-emerging markets. They were at the leading position. In between, they lost their position. Now they are again coming up in terms of their position. Some people even call it as the era of white is over. White ruling the world is over. That 200 years has gone. Now it is a time for yellow and brown. Yellow mean Chinese and brown mean Indian. After that, they say it may be time for the black. So this is what is the cycle in terms of global economy people are discussing. So next we can go. Current global position, current mean 2022 because it's measured January to December. 23 number will be available in 24. If you look at the current position, just we have given the numbers. Where is this? China is on top of the world with 31.6 US dollar trillion. 1,000 billion makes 1 trillion. 1,000 million makes 1 billion. So this is the trillion is roughly 100 lakh crores. Anyhow, that translation is not required. You can take it. Then USA 23.1, then India 15.5. India is number 3 in the world today from purchasing power parity basis. Then comes Japan. If you take on the current prices in terms of current prices or what are called nominal prices without adjusting for purchasing power parity, you can go to the next slide, Shilpaji. This is the nominal term. US is number 1 country with 25.5 US dollar trillion. China is number 2. Japan is number 3. Germany is 4 and India is 5. India used to be 6. It crossed United Kingdom and has become 5. And this is what people say that the government and the Prime Minister and others selling. India should move up to 3 from being 5. In other words, 3.4 trillion, it should become 5 trillion. That is what is being contemplated. Okay, this is the same thing. And the decline of the, and this is the share we were talking about. Next slide. The overall, what is the reason for the decline of the West is very important. Why are they having this problem? After all, for 200 years, they were leading the world in terms of industrial revolution, in terms of various type of activities. They have become phenomenally having borrowed money. Overall debt percentage of GDP is very, very large in those countries. There are 3 types of debt: family debt, or company debt, and government debt. Government debt is always can be repaid because government has access to the printing press of money. They can ask RBI print more and then those money can be returned. So the government doesn't have any worry on that is called sovereign debt. Other is company debt. Many of the companies are not able to repay. They tell the bank we have got it insolvent or something. Some of the owners also go to London and settle down. They cannot be brought back. So some, and some company debt is returned and they repay another. Third is household debt or family debt. Why do families have debt? Either having the house itself, buying a house on mortgage or on a bank loan, or for vehicle, refrigerator, and educational loan and all this. These are paid by what are called EMI, equated monthly installment. So many of the youngsters in India even today are borrowing money and every month they are paying EMI. Many of their amount of salary is going only in EMI. So these are the 3 types of debt. And these are numbers are all last year. This now it is more than, what is shown here. Canada has got 300% of debt to their income, gross domestic product. US is again 300%. You can see there, India and China are relatively lesser. Brazil, these countries are relatively lesser. India is 120%, all the 3 debt put together. Britain has crossed 500%. That is why Britain has got an Indian as Prime Minister to manage their financial affairs. They find that maybe Indians are good at managing, so let us try it out. Then Japan, Germany, all of them have got phenomenal amount of debt. And if you see the individual component, household debt, all these countries have very high amount of household debt. Most of those households don't save anything. Saving is forgotten. Britain, household debt is nearly 100% of their GDP. All the households borrow like anybody's business and then live as if there is no tomorrow. In India, even today, saving is very much stressed. Large amount of our families save actually. Our saving is 30%, whereas all these countries' saving is less than 7 to 8%. So our households are saving household, whereas these households are borrowing and then spending, consuming. So you can see US, Canada, all these countries, household debt is phenomenally very high. Next one. Why are they having so much amount of debt? As I told you, it is mortgage, it is student loan for education purposes, it is also for auto, cars and two-wheelers and other thing, and credit card. That is another thing. Everything is purchased on credit. Womb to tomb is on credit card. That culture is also slowly coming to India now. Everybody wants to buy everything on credit card. What is credit card? Fundamentally, it means tomorrow's income you are spending today. In other words, after you spend, you have to, pay the credit card company sometime or other. So that is what is happening. And they have forgotten what is meant by saving. Saving is a word which is removed from their dictionary. And that is one of the major uh, problem faced by these countries. Next, other issue for them is, which is a major civilizational issues, which we should keep in the back of the mind. Large portion of their children are born out of wedlock. In US, this is as early as 2017. Now the numbers are much more. Roughly 50% of the childbirth is for women who are not married, what are called single parent. Single parent is mostly single mother, suffering a lot. And there are people, girls with 10 to 19 years, what you may call children, who are giving birth to children. In India, if such a hue and cry is made about some child marriage and other things, there you can see among blacks, 73% of the births are out of wedlock, are born to single mothers who are not married. So, there, having both the father and mother is considered as a great privilege today, believe me. Having a family with the father and mother is a privilege. And they ask, do you have father and mother? Yes, oh gosh, you are a fortunate person. Because I don't have both of them alive. In the sense, they are alive, but they are not together. So that is the major. UK, Denmark, all these countries, similar type of a problem. So they have a huge problem of what in my school days we used to call such children as bastards. One should not use that word. But they are the dominant group. New York Times and others, they call it as new normal. The Americans have a way of expressing everything in a new fashion. So this is what is the major social crisis which is facing the US today. Next, why did the family became smaller and smaller? Because the big companies reduced family size for market reason before this market expansion. For instance, if there is a family of 10 members using one refrigerator, but if there is a family of three families of each three members, each one will use one refrigerator. So the companies can sell three refrigerators. Smaller families help the market of the products of companies. This is very important to notice. Same thing about house itself. If there is a 10-member family living in a house, if they have to be split into three, husband and wife alone moving into another. And between 2000 and 2020, 50 million additional units of houses were created in US in order to meet the requirement. So throughout the 70s and 80s, they projected happy family mean husband, wife, and two children. Happy family will not have mother-in-law. Happy family will not have sisters-in-law. Or happy family mean these two. So nuclear to proton, what you can call. Originally we had joint family. Then we have nuclear family, husband and wife and two children. And then proton family, single parent or single mother. And US, it is considered privileged to have two parents. As I told you, it's a huge social crisis being faced by that country. And similarly in Europe. And so companies are trying to create new type of families. Otherwise, whether they will work or not, one doesn't know. This new LGBTQ and various other type of group, they want to create as families. So crisis in the family system is a major social problem there. That is the civilizational and cultural crisis faced by Western countries. Next, world population is declining. Europe had 25% of the population before First World War. Every fourth citizen of the world was European. Today it is hardly 8 to 10%, and it is expected to become 2%. So Europe is shrinking and getting huge amount of migration, mostly illegal migrants from various war countries like Iraq, Lebanon, this Palestine, and various other countries which are having conflicts in Africa. All of them are moving into Europe. That is the only major issue. And their unemployment rate is also very high in Europe. So what happened is, when there is unemployment and economic crisis, they believe the migrant. Most of these migrants get free houses to stay and free medical care and other things. And majority of the migrants belong to Islamic faith. So anti-migrant feeling is tremendously increasing in Europe, and it is slowly becoming anti-Islamic feeling. And that is what is the conflict which is facing in the Europe and US. Next, unemployment, I told you, is phenomenally high. Spain, it is 29%. Youth unemployment. Youth means 16 to 24 years in those countries. Because in India, even 60-year-old fellow is considered as youth. You can be 50, 60, 70, youth icon, they call it. No, there is no limit for age limit at all here. There it is very strict, 16 to 24. You can see unemployment rates are significantly very high among the youth, which creates its own tension and issues. Next. So there is a revolt against what is called globalization. Britain has left European Union. Some of you would have read about it in the papers and other thing. It's called Brexit. Trump is unenthusiastic about this global organization. China is now trying to lead the global and war between radical Islam and West. That's what we were telling. Next. This is what is happening. Every day, 10,000 refugees are arriving in Europe. They want to get through Spain, Italy, Germany, various other countries of Europe. All of them are coming from war-torn countries like Afghanistan, even Pakistan, Iraq, then Iran, Yemen and Lebanon, various countries which are having conflicts. They are all wanting to come into Europe. So Europe is getting flooded, and there is a tension which is brewing in Europe. Next. Our own position we can see our Indian situation, our agriculture constitutes 15% of our national income, mining and manufacturing, and service sector 62%. Our GDP growth rate is highest in the world. Believe me, it's one of the highest in the world. It is expected to be 7 to 7.5% in 23-24. Highest in the whole world among 140 countries. Our saving rate is very high, 30%. We saw G7, they don't have any saving, they borrow and live. Their saving rate is not never, mostly around 8% only. Household saving is one of the largest part of our saving. Government saving is very small. Corporate saving is also small. Out of 30%, 22% comes from household. So our housewives are primarily responsible for our economic growth. Who is responsible for economic growth? Our housewives. Actually, the ladies of the country are mainly responsible for our economic growth. The household growth saves in, they have houses itself, apartments or house, save in gold in the form of chains, bangles, and other. Banks, they save. Employee provident fund, they save. Insurance, all these areas they save. And domestic saving, our household saving provide 90% for investment. We talk about FII, FDI, and other thing. All those foreign money is less than 10%. So we are a domestic demand driven, domestic supply driven, both domestic. We are not export based country because our market is very large, 140 crore people. Of that, 50 to 60 crore at least is having good purchasing power ability today. That is what is happening. Next, our major strength, remittance, which we get from abroad due to Indians working in Middle East, US, Europe, and other countries. Our software industry earns around 120 billion. We are world number one in that, actually. Again, our remittance is also world number one. Technology we are using, and recently you would have noted about digital payment. We are the largest digital payment in the whole world. If you go to a mochi or if you go to a vegetable seller, even there you will see one Paytm, and people are paying using GPay and other things. So there is a huge digital revolution is taking place in this country. Also, we spend 80 billion US dollar in foreign education. Somehow there is a glamour for foreign education. So any country abroad, you can go, it can be Ukraine, it can be, Madagascar, anywhere you want to, UK, USA, people want to go and study. And, because foreign educated is still considered as something very, very important. So we spend a huge amount of money in getting our children educated abroad. That should come down. Actually, we should encourage more of domestic institution and domestic training. But unfortunately, we have got what is this called this genetically we are tied to the white countries. Whatever they say, whatever US or whatever Europe does, we think that is the correct one. Next one. One size does not fit all. This is very, very important to understand. Generally, it is considered that all countries of the world should have the same type of economic growth or something. Move, madam. They are universal. US models will fit every society, which is not true actually. That's a myth. The reality is each society is based on its culture, values, need its own models and solutions. Imported models doesn't really work. And imported experts also do not help. What is required is domestic models, using our own local culture and our own civilizational ethos. Next one, for instance, in India, large number of economic clusters I have gone and studied. Almost all of them are caste clusters. It's a very major social capital. Even though caste is derided and abused and other thing, madam, it is considered as a major obstacle to economic growth, which is not true. More than 700 clusters of economic activity I have gone and seen. Tirupur, garments, Namakkal poultry, Savakasi, Surat diamonds, all these I have gone. And they are all caste clusters. In other words, economic growth in those clusters have come due to the caste coordination among borrowing, among market expansion, among labor. Antwerp diamonds where in Belgium, Palanpur Jains are the ones who are major. And US West Coast, you see, motels, Patels, petrol pumps, all of them are by Patels. And due to their collaboration and cooperation among the caste clusters. So this is something very, very important. We have been deriding this, we have been abusing it, but that is the one which is providing good amount of backup. What we call in our jargon, Vaishyavization of India is taking. Everybody is becoming a Vaishya. All type of people are entering into business and commerce and wanting to benefit out of that. Next, we can go. So growth of our economy, first is it's not a global crisis, as I told, Anglo-Saxon crisis. They are not going to immediately recover because of the nature. More we are away from them, much better for us. Ours is domestic demand driven growth. Household saving is not the most important. Non-corporate partnership, proprietorship firms, small businesses, they are the engines of our growth. They are the ones who are community oriented and family driven. And all funds will come to India sooner or later because this is one of the most stable countries. You look at the world map, everywhere you will find war, conflicts, various type of crisis. But Indian map is relatively clean. So India's story is just starting. We have to understand that. Next one, madam. Why did West fail? We listed all that. They nationalized all the families from cradle to grave. Savings is forgotten. Their society is right-based. Relationships are not considered as very important or critical. And business model is homogenization. That's not a very great idea. Conflicts are flourishing. Like lawyers and accountants are most important people there. Whereas in India, even today, dancers, musicians, these are all highly respected and regarded. Next. See, we are most important, we have to recognize we are nature friendly. We don't have to be taught by some white man that you should be more friendly to nature. Actually, in late 50s, I remember my uncle brought sari in a plastic bag. He came and boasted at my home to my grandmother, that is my uncle's mother. You know, this plastic bag can never be destroyed. My grandmother immediately made a comment in Tamil. If something can't be destroyed, it will be not friendly to the Bhumata. It won't be friendly to the earth. She is so old, but and everybody laughed at her. You are very backward, Aji, old lady, like that. And today the same thing is being talked about in the Western meeting, that plastic is not something which should be encouraged. What I want to say is our traditional culture and wisdom are phenomenally helpful. We are, one of my American colleagues used to always say, India is the only country where I find people are worshipping trees. If you go around many parts of the country, you will find a group of ladies in the morning worshipping some tree. Mostly it will be a what one can call the neem tree, or it could be a people tree. But they put kumkum on it. They put, he said, the American colleague told, I have never seen anywhere in the world this thing. So we are tree worshipper, we are animal worship. Many of our gods are actually animals. Part animal, part man, or full animal. We are very forest destroyed by the Western countries for their toilet use. Last 300 years, huge number of forest, even today, is getting destroyed in order to prepare toilet papers and other. And they are teaching us that you should take care of the animals, you should take care of the forest and other thing today. It's not, our women will protect. They are instinctively animal and tree friendly. They are nature friendly, our women. And they know the value of protecting these symbols. So this is something which we should keep in the back of the mind. Next, our world view, or Weltanschauung as it is called in Germany, we have a cyclical view of the world. It's not linear because we believe in rebirth. We believe that certain activities which are taking place over a period of time that will go, but some other thing will come. So we have a cyclical view of the world. Animal and plant friendly, we told that for us, community and family building are building blocks. Very important for us. Family is very important. And community is also extremely important. We are not going to reject a community, and which have been done in the Western countries. Ours is relationship based. Even today, 50, 60 to 70% of the transactions in the country are done based on relationship, not based on documents or anything. Much of the money is loaned based on faith or trust. Similarly, much of the other type of transaction are also based on trust. And our families are not yet fully nationalist. Our families are independent, and our families are where the community is flourishing and a certain sense of responsibility is there. So, when we are growing fast, when we are making ourselves one of the global powers, we should also keep our civilizational and cultural roots. This is very, very important. We should just imitate the Western model of growth and fall into the trap. We should keep our cultural and civilizational roots. At the same time, we can, of course, grow. There is no alternative or there is no end to it. We are a very large country with a very huge amount of cultural heritage going back to 2000 years actually. We talk about Ramayana, we talk about Mahabharata. So much amount of cultural heritage is there. So we have a great responsibility to ourselves as well as to our future generation. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Bhopal, as
Yes,
per
sir.
timing.
Yeah, sir.
Deepti, right? Who is showing the slide? Deepika. Okay.
Shall we take
I
the
thank
question,
her
sir?
profusely for the kind introduction.
Thank you, sir.
You want me to spend some time on questions?
Yes, sir, we have some questions.
Maybe few questions?
Yes. Sir, the question goes, are there any ancient or contemporary economic models that could help propel India towards becoming a superpower?
You are asking the question, Deepika?
Yes, sir. Students have sent a question, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Sorry.
Sir, are there any ancient or contemporary economic models that could help propel India towards becoming a superpower?
Our own, we can build, we are building our own economic model. Very simple, which is family based, which is community based, which is trust based. Right?
Yes, sir.
S- s-
The lines are very bad on this side, on my side.
Sir, why India was importing oils from Russia and Ukraine, sir? This edible oils.
Huh? Sorry?
The edible oils very recently, till recently, we were importing, no, in India. Edible oils, Indian economy. Edible oils, most of the oils, even though we were able to produce Indian itself, we were depending on India for those things we can import.
No, edible oil, actually, what has happened is we are getting more from Malaysia, Indonesia, and other things. The palm oil, which
Palm
is
oil.
relatively cheaper, and you are talking about edible oil, right?
Yeah, even the
A
sunflower
lot of
oil.
these Western scientists propagated that
Yeah.
using coconut oil or ginger oil is harmful to health and other things. And we all fell for it. And that is why our import requirement has increased. Now it is slowly coming down. But still,
Yeah.
our dependence on Malaysian and Indonesian palm oil is very large.
Even the sunflower oil also from Ukraine and Russia, no, before the war.
No, Russia, we don't go for edible oil. We are getting more in terms of the petroleum and gas and other type of oils.
Yeah, sunflower oil, sir, from Ukraine. I read an article. Sunflower oil also we can, those things we can include, we improve local cultivation, thereby we can improve our economy, no, all the edible
Yeah,
oils.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bhupal, these lines are not very good here. I hope you are able to hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we are able to hear.
Ah, I have to catch a flight.
Sir, as you mentioned in your talk, we have a question based on that. How to bring the awareness on the consequences of proton families?
Sorry. Once more.
Sir,
Gopal, otherwise you tell me.
sir, how to bring the awareness on the consequences of proton families?
How to?
Bring the awareness on the consequences of proton families, sir.
Oh, this is only by education and you know interaction with other people. We have to stress more and more about our own cultural roots and other things. We have a very great responsibility, and people like in your university, significant amount of positive inputs are given. So you can all be torch bearers in this.
Thank you.
Sir, I think we are done with questions.
Thank you. Huh?
Yes, sir. I request Deepika to thank.
Huh? Okay. I thank you, Bhupal. I thank Mohan, who is not seen by me. I thank Deepika for the kind introduction as well as you know coordination, right? And I thank your university authorities. Last but not least, I thank all the students based on I think three campuses. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
All the three campus students, and I wish all of you the best in your career as well as in your life. My blessings as a senior person to all of you. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much.
Sir, it was a wonderful
Thanks a
session.
lot.
We have discussed on the various aspects relating to GDP of different countries and India's status in the World Economic Forum and provided insights of how different sectors contribute to the Indian economic growth. It was a key takeaway when you said models are important rather than fitting the same size for all that does not fit for all. We need sustainable models for others countries to follow. We are sure that India will step up with the standard with its growing GDP from 7 to 7.5 in the following years.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. We'll end the session with Shanti Mantra.
Thank you.
Om
Sai Ram. Thanks.
Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Sai Ram, sir. Thank you.